Located on 225 acres in Garden City, Long Island, Nassau Community College, a member of the State University of New York system, has close to 20,000 students attend the school each year. The college mascot is Leo the Lion, and these are his stories of the school's absolute best and brightest who have graduated over the past 50-plus years. So let's catch up together as the Alumni Association of Nassau Community College proudly presents Lion Tales on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Welcome to Lion Tales. My name is Dr. Lynnda Nadien, and I'm a director on the board of the Alumni Association at Nassau Community College and a proud graduate. I am here to celebrate the successes of our alum, and together we will share stories that will uplift, inspire, and often amuse you. Each week, I will introduce you to the alumni of Nassau Community College, interested in sharing their experiences while attending the college and the secrets to their success. Look for many new and exciting events on the Alumni Association social media pages and share any exciting news with us on Facebook, Instagram, or on our webpage at ncc.edu/alumni. Or find me on X at Dr. Lynnda Nadien. The lion is the mascot for Nassau Community College. The lion is associated with balancing power, intention, physical strength, and grace. Our alum possess these same characteristics and symbolize courage, nobility, royalty, strength, stateliness, and valor. Lions are a symbol of royalty, and all of our alum contribute to the beauty of our college society. Lions are typically decisive, confident, and natural leaders who are focused on achieving their goals. The lion's roar is his symbol of strength, of leadership, of pride, and together we are Lion Tales. Today, I would like to welcome to Lion Tales Erika Zizzo, class of 2009. Erika received her business administration degree from Nassau Community College in 2009. She supports students by inspiring them to work towards success in any field. Erika is an avid cyclist, loves kayaking, and charcuterie boards. Interests include music, art, architecture, Long Island history, and American history. In addition, she collects and sells vintage decor and artwork, mostly postmodern style from the 80s through Y2K era at Jalousie Dream Deco. Erika was a radio DJ at 90.3 WHPC and used her skills to enhance her professional work, which includes public speaking and overall presentation skills. Welcome to Lion Tales, Erika Zizzo, class of 2009.
Hi, it's so great to be with you.
Great to have you here. So, way back when, you'll tell us about your decision to attend Nassau Community College.
Sure thing. So my college journey was not very typical. I actually started over at Pace University. I graduated from Half Hollow Hills East, and I wanted to experience something outside of just the normal Long Island life. So I ended up at Pace for a year. And then due to financial reasons, I decided to transfer to Nassau Community College. And when I got accepted here, I was actually accepted even into the Honors College, which was a really unique experience for me. So I spent a year here through the Honors College at Nassau Community College, and then I had gotten accepted to Baruch College for a semester. I ended up not really liking it there, and it took me a few times to pass calculus to actually complete my associate's degree at Nassau. So that actually prompted me to come back to Nassau, finally tackle that calculus, and then as a package, take my associate's degree and transfer over to SUNY Old Westbury, which is where I got my bachelor's degree.
And as a high school student prior to coming, you know, or even applying to school, were you creative and in the arts, you know, in your mind and ready? Were those your intentions to come into a sort of an artistic degree?
I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. I was definitely really into music, and I liked art, but I wouldn't consider myself especially artistic in any of those areas at that point in my life.
And so studying business here, you really were able to use that to, fulfill a lot of the ideas that you have now. So tell us a little bit about, earning that business degree here.
Yeah. So it was a little tough for me because I am also first generation. My mother's Peruvian. My father's Italian American. So there was a lot of pressure. And I was firstborn. So there's a lot of pressure on me to, not putz around in the arts world and just get a real degree with real, with a solid major, essentially. So even though I liked business, what I really liked about business was the HR piece because it incorporated a little bit of law. You had some human resources in there, and it just added a lot for me, and it just was kind of what I was looking for if I was looking in the field of business. Accounting was never going to cut it for me.
Right.
Nothing really that analytical was really my strong
And I think,
suit.
Human resources is really instrumental in so many ways because you are responsible for doing the hiring and finding the talent. And when you're working in that type of capacity, what are you looking for in people?
Potential,
more
than anything. And it also depends on the level, especially at the entry level. You don't know what they're capable of because they don't have enough experience to really show that on a resume. But you look for people who are have a strong desire to succeed, and sometimes that shows up in interviews when you're interviewing someone, but sometimes it doesn't. So it's that skill of trying to kind of sense that in someone and ask the right questions to kind of quantify it.
Yeah, there are people who are very good at sort of spotting the talent or the potential.
Yeah.
What do you do when you see that? How does that make you feel?
It makes me smile.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's exactly why I do what I do.
Yeah. Because when you just never know who's coming through that door, which I think is, such an exciting thing. So when you were at Nassau, what are some of the courses that inspired you at the beginning?
So Nassau was, I have so many good things to say about Nassau.
Yeah.
To really pin it down, in the honors college, I had a really awesome opportunity to study environmental science. And I took environmental science 1 and 2. And it's something kind of different than business. And the reason why I liked it so much is because it related so much to our everyday lives. Like my professor took us to the Covanta plant right around the corner to show us, hey, this is what happens to your garbage. She took us on a field trip to the Norman Levy Preserve down in Merrick to show us, hey, this is what a landfill can turn into, a positive thing in the community. I really loved that because it made me look at the world a lot differently. And there were a couple other classes that really were impactful for me, including interpersonal communications taught by Esther Bogan.
Yeah.
It taught me how to listen more than anything, which is also a skill. And especially when you're interviewing, and I realized this later in life, communication is just so integral to every single thing that we do. And for her and for the course to really kind of lay out like how you need to be patient, how you need to be actively listening, and how to communicate, and also understand that even though you're communicating something, it may not be received in the way that you want it to be, and understanding that there could be disconnects and how to overcome those. And that was a really game changer for me.
Right. Now, a lot of the professors that were here, they offered, inspiration to you. Can you tell us a little bit about, some of the ones that kind of, stuck in your head and things that they said that helped you on your journey through school here?
So I would say not necessarily professor, but actually the old program director here at Nassau Community College, Jim Green.
Oh, Jim Green. I have a question called, tell us about the Jim Green days.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Jim was not only just a professional mentor for me here at the radio station, but also a personal mentor. I was going through a lot of interesting things throughout my time here at the radio station. And he's somebody who really put things in perspective, and just I owe a lot to him. But also on top of that, he took a chance on me here at the radio station because a lot of the times folks who, at least when I was here, a lot of folks tend to be communication majors, and I was different. I was a business major, and I just wanted the exposure to be on the radio and to sharpen these skills. And they took a chance on me, and I gave them 10 years. And I thank Jim Green a lot for that. And, I was able to meet a lot of extraordinary people here at the station because of it.
Yeah. And, I guess people don't realize that although your focus was business and human resources, there's still this side piece that you were doing. It's sort of like it all kind of fits together. It really does. Like it kind of cultivates you as a person. where, a lot of people are like, oh, you're also on the radio. They don't understand that. Explain, your passion for the radio for 10 years. That's a decade of work. So what was that like?
Oh gosh, like you said, it's great having that balance. Being in the corporate world, it's a little tough, and you know what? I have to give credit to Larry the Duck for this one.
Oh yeah, we just met him at the meeting. He gave a presentation.
I'm so jealous.
Yeah, he was talking about his journey through, and he's still very humble about it.
Yeah. So I was actually at an event at St. John's for work. So my corporate job, review resumes and recruit, and I was with my COO at the time at a St. John's alumni event. Larry the Duck was a speaker because he had his time at St. John's. And he basically talked about how he had his corporate job, it paid the bills, and it was great. But where he really got his passion was to be on the radio. And he was talking about finding that balance of like doing what you need to do and then doing what you really love. And after seeing him there, it kind of inspired me to keep going with the radio because it's tough at times when you're still in school and you're trying to balance everything. And even outside of graduating and trying to balance your real adult life and staying on the radio, it was tough. But what really kept me here was my passion for the music, my passion for the fans, and just, keeping in mind what Larry the Duck was saying, it's about balance.
Right.
And that really inspired me because if he was able to do it, I'm like, maybe I'm able to do it. Maybe I can't get a job at Sirius XM, but I can keep doing this here.
Right. You are listening to Lion Tales on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Dr. Lynnda Nadien, and our guest today is Erika Zizzo, class of 2009. So you did develop, you said, a passion for environmental sciences, and that was, through exposure at Nassau Community College. And you were also the VP of the Wall Street Club. Can you explain that experience?
Oh, yeah, that was fantastic. So we had a really, really great oversight for the Wall Street Club, Professor Strain. And he actually, through his connections, was able to get us a tour at the IMF, the World Bank. It was like the deluxe Washington, D.C. tour.
Wow.
And as a 19-year-old, being able to step into the IMF, like, wow, that is insane. I accidentally sat in Ben Bernanke's chair.
Okay, yeah.
and it was just,
oops.
Oopsies. But it was the wildest thing. And I'm not sure if I would have gotten that experience anywhere else.
Yeah. And what were your responsibilities as the VP of the club?
I would, it wasn't too intense. I was ordering a lot of food. We were handling votes. I think there were like two of us who were VPs.
Yeah.
It was fun.
And it's funny because most students, when they graduate from Nassau and they leave and they go to the 4-year school, which for you was SUNY Westbury, it's just, the experience here is never the same as the 4-year. Now, because I know a lot of the alums say, when I left, I didn't know if I was prepared or not. But then when they got there, they felt like, wait, this is so much easier. I can't believe it. I'm fully prepared.
Yeah.
How did you feel your preparation was at your, at this community college?
Fantastic. And I will say, like, it really depends. I feel like the school gives a lot of resources to people who want to take it. If you're looking for resources, you'll find them here. And I felt like going from here to Old Westbury, it was pretty seamless.
Yeah.
And I also, we had a professor, Professor Sharon Jones. She was actually a Nassau professor and also taught at Old Westbury. And
okay, yes.
She, like, that transition was fantastic because I already kind of knew her from here. But she taught entrepreneurship. And that was one of the most impactful classes I have had because she's giving us real life skills.
That's amazing. Do you know that the college is going to have an entrepreneurship program?
Oh, great.
Which I think our only other competition was Hofstra. But at this level at Nassau, you can do the certificate for $6,200 and you're completely done. So, we're hoping that that's going to be very successful and that will be unfolding shortly, probably coming, through into the next school year.
Wow.
Which, again, allows people to kind of see where they want to go and do it without a huge expense, later on, which is really amazing. Now, if you had to compare schools, you did say that you went to Baruch. What are your thoughts having attended a SUNY and then sort of a private and then back at a community college? What was that like?
Yeah. So the thing I didn't really like so much about Baruch is that in comparison to going to school here at Nassau, my professors weren't professionals in their field, at least the ones that I had. And I didn't really like that. That wasn't really my learning style. Whereas Sharon Jones, she had a business.
Yeah.
So as an entrepreneur, she's telling us how to file an S Corp, LLC, what the differences are. Our final project was literally creating a business plan good enough that we can go to a bank and get a loan. And that was her goal. And that is the absolute most practical, most usable skill that I think I've used in all of my time here in college. So I definitely give her a lot of credit for that.
The difference between like LLC, unincorporated business, there's a lot to know.
Yeah.
So when you left here, when you were in at SUNY, Old Westbury, that was business administration and human resources. What was their focus as far as the coursework?
Yeah, so a lot of it was management focused, and surprisingly, each class had a chapter on human resources, so that helped me out a bit. But I think my professors, my finance professor worked at Avis. I talked about Sharon Jones, and just everybody just had that practical experience where they can share the examples from that really kind of tied all the dots together.
Right. I think it's critical because then it becomes reality and you can transfer the text to the real life, and that's what everybody wants to do. Now, discuss your methods that you're using for encouraging students to transition from their college life into their professional career. What are some of the speaking engagements that you've had, and how is that impacting the students?
Yeah. So I've done a lot of work through my campus recruiting role at different colleges like Stony Brook, where I've talked about interview skills, interview tips. I've presented at the Wang Center at Stony Brook. I felt like Steve Jobs up there, all black with the turtleneck, and really, it's about knowing your audience at the end of the day. You know, if you're trying to nail an interview, you have to kind of get the vibe from your interviewer, and you want to be yourself. You want to be authentic. I think going from community college to the professional world, you might have some cards stacked against you just because of bias, and bias is real and exists. Yeah. But it really depends on how much you can show that you are capable, because you are. Here at Nassau, you have amazing resources that you can totally use, and just making the most out of that. People look at Nassau, and I look at Nassau as a stepping stone, right? Because that's all life is, from Nassau to Old Westbury to any other job. It's all about just kind of having those baby steps. So if you have an idea of like what you want to do after college, your first job out of college may not be exactly that. But if you can find something that's kind of similar within the ballpark, then that can give you the stepping stones to eventually get you to where you want to go. So unless you're extremely lucky, you're not going to start off where you want to be. But you have to keep an open mind. And honestly, the worst people can say is no. Put yourself out there, shoot your resume out as much as you want, as much as you can. And eventually someone's going to say yes. And it only takes one. That's all it is. Right, exactly. And, opening up that door. And you may not be the perfect sole candidate, but someone saw something in you that they're going to give you that little chance that you need. And I think that really can be life-changing. I know that as a person who did a lot of interviewing over the years with the work that I've done in education, I found people that just needed the little tiny bit. Yeah. And later on, years later, they would say, you gave me that chance. Do you remember when you gave me that chance? And I really didn't remember, but I know that there was something about them that I couldn't just let them walk out. Yeah. Which, is really, really an amazing thing to be responsible for. Because, you're putting these people in front of groups of people or in front of groups of children, and you want to make sure that you're not making a mistake. Exactly. And so that's like really exciting too. Now, you are also an avid cyclist. Yes. Can you talk about that? Because that's really interesting. Yeah. So I always joke, but I've become something I've always hated. If you've been on the LIE, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. But But I went through a transformative moment in my life around 2014, and I discovered cycling. And it was a really great way for me to relieve stress and to actually meet new people. And I got really into bike racing on a velodrome in Casina, Queens. And that was really exciting for a few years. And then after that, it just became something a little bit more social. Back when I got into cycling, I actually rode from San Francisco to LA by myself.
Wow. How many miles is that?
It was 500 and change. And so this upcoming
on a real bicycle, moving bike.
Yes, bicycle pedals and 2 bags on the back of my bike and my sleeping bag, my sleeping pad, just me homeless on a bike. Wow. And it was the coolest experience, but also the scariest experience because I'd never been to California before.
Wow, yeah.
So my best friend was going to meet me at a music festival in LA to see Morrissey.
Oh, wow.
And so I figured out, I'm like, hey, I got to get there somehow. And so I biked, and it was a really awesome experience.
Now, how do you buy a bike? How do you know what's right for you? Like you're depending on like how tall you are or your physical strength. Like what do we look for when we're buying a bike?
Yeah. So it depends on the kind of bike or the type of riding you want to do. So a mountain bike would be different than a road bike. Yes, height is definitely a factor, and comfort's also a factor as well. I think the best bet is just to talk to somebody who knows about bikes.
There are a lot of bicycle stores on Long Island, which I know this because my nephew is 12 and he grew very quickly, and now he needs another bike because he looks like teeny tiny on a teeny tiny bike, but a giant kid now. And so there is like a formula to purchasing and even maintaining it. How did you maintain all of that for a 500-mile ride?
So I got really lucky. To be honest, I got really, really lucky. And I only had one flat tire, and somebody very chivalrous decided to help fix my tire for me, so I didn't have to. I'm a little ashamed. I feel like the movie Rolling Thunder, when Tom Cruise is like, I don't know anything about cars. I just get in the car and I drive it. Like that's me with bikes. I just get on and I ride it.
And you ride it. Yeah. You are listening to Lion Tales on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. My name is Dr. Lynnda Nadien, and our guest today is Erika Zizzo, class of 2009. So we're talking about your bicycling, your cyclist experience. And now when you're riding, I mean, what are you thinking about? Like, how did that free you from, worrying about the whole world?
Oh my gosh, that's such a deep question. I'm thinking about everything on the bike, or I'm thinking about nothing. Yeah. It's either one or the other. And what I like to do is I like to take my bike down to Tobay Beach at sunset, ride from Cedar Creek all the way down, and even further to Gilgo if I'm feeling really active. And between the sunset and just taking it all in, feeling the wind in your hair, feeling yourself out of breath, and just pushing yourself, it's almost like it's otherworldly, I would say. And it definitely helps ground me and balance me mentally and physically. And I don't drink, so
it's funny because my husband and I had this conversation, like we both were very big bike riders as kids.
Oh, wow.
And that's how we got around. Now we have not been on a bike, but we could be back on one. And, he's like, I think I would love to ride a bike again. And now, you're sort of inspiring me to be like, maybe we're going to have to buy bikes because I think that would be something really, freeing and exciting to do, as a hobby.
Yeah.
And also that you meet people because there's always like groups and clubs of people. Mm-hmm. So like golfing, cycling, kayaking. You also do kayaking. That's really cool.
Yeah. I live up in Huntington, so it's hard not to, kayak on the water. I really love being close to the bay and everything. But so yeah, kayaking is something I knew I picked up actually during the pandemic, and I really enjoyed it a lot.
That's amazing too. Now, sharing your, hopes and also your hobbies with, students that are here. You did a speaking engagement, and what do you think the students wanted to hear? Because I find like a lot of the students that I'm teaching right now, they're very fearful and they're very worried about not succeeding. They're very worried about what the professor will like do to them or hold them accountable. And I keep trying to kind of go into these classes with the framework of, you will earn the A, or you will do well in this course. But what do you want me to be for you? So how do you kind of like get them to relax a little bit when you're speaking about the future?
So young people have a lot to be scared of these days. I feel like there's just like society, like growing up like all your life in fear. And now you're at this pivotal moment of life. How are you not going to be afraid?
Yeah.
So it's kind of tough. I mean, a lot of it just has to do with confidence, and it's easier said than done, but also just being pragmatic about the situation. You're going to get a lot of no's before you get a yes. And that's just the reality of it. Some people get lucky, but it's not the norm. And just encouraging people to just not give up. My dad told me this one story when I was looking for a job and I was getting really discouraged. He was telling me the whole Rocky script story.
Oh, right, yeah.
Where Rocky was shopping around his script and a lot of people were saying no, and then this one person said yes, and now you have the Rocky trilogy and 5, 6 movies, whatever, and it just took one person to say yes.
Right.
And I just keep that in mind because it just takes one at the end of the day. It just takes one.
Absolutely. And I think that, again, when that door opens for you, you want to take advantage of it. And then, again, there are people behind you that have been pushing to let you know that. And so is that why really career counseling is important to you as a human resource expert?
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of people, the confidence can be picked up during an interview. And I think that once somebody has more information, they can become more confident and ace the interview. But I really think, it just depends on who you're interviewing with. And I don't know, there's just a lot of factors, but I think that having an idea of how to land the job before you actually go in the interview is probably very helpful.
Yeah. What do you think is the most popular, I guess, field for interviewing right now? I mean, obviously music and art, that's, those are difficult fields, but if you were coming out of Nassau and you were sort of a computer expert, what would they be going for?
I would say anything that requires human interaction, because that's the one thing that probably can't be replaced.
Right. Yeah.
And that's kind of crazy to think about, because in 5 years, things are going to be very different. When people start to graduate, it's going to be very different. And you also have to keep in mind that at some point in your career, you're going to have a career change. I imagine for me too, like I could be replaced by a computer any day.
Right.
And what am I going to do with my life? And so keeping that in mind and kind of keeping those skills and accumulating those skills until you get to that point will put you in a less stressful place, hopefully, when that point comes and you kind of have some plan Bs.
Yeah. And it's funny because the artificial intelligence, the AI is scaring people. However, I don't think we're even 100% full capacity of human interaction. And so I don't think that the robots can take over because we didn't even know what we were doing. Yeah. So it's sort of like there's a place and a time for all of that. And I think the more we learn about it, it will be better. But, I guess in music, it's been around a lot because you can do samples of people's voices and you can do all of that. But it has been impacting the radio industry because people are like, oh my God, it's going to replace me. But at the same time, the nostalgic part of radio has to come back at some point. It just really does. I would like to thank our guest, Erika Zizzo, class of 2009. How can our listeners contact you?
Sure. You can contact me via email, ezizzo@gmail.com, if you'd like to reach out. And I'm happy to connect with any NCC alum.
Thank you for being here today, Erika Zizzo. I would like to thank you for being our guest. My name is Dr. Lynnda Nadien. I serve as a director on the board of the Nassau Community College Alumni Association, and I'm a proud alum. Lion Tales is available as a podcast on iTunes, Android Podcasts, and Spreaker. More information is online at nccradio.org. Thanks for listening to Lion Tales on the voice of Nassau Community College 90.3 WHPC.